2026. So I'm still here in Luzon City. It's a city in the province of Quezon. And I am taking my cue from the questions that I've been getting whenever I would do a live stream, like from what country are you, and what's your name, and so on and so forth. These are basic personal information, right? So my significance, the significance of my name, the significance of my work, be it with platform or like within the family or within the social circle that I was known to be part of, like every membership that I have, everything is going to be, they will be converging into the common processes, and I am looking forward to it, because if such is not the case, then all the activities that I have been pursuing year after year would have been for nothing, an exercise of futility. But because truth is mutually exclusive, so therefore it is either that my work was a wasteful exercise of wrong priorities or ill-conceived plans, something like that, because it is somewhat competing with the logic and the soundness of the narrative that runs in conflict with mine. So it has to do with the name. Yes, it's yours truly. It's Clarissa Talaga Garcia. So I'm a writer and I am also a singer. And since what? Since more than 15 years, I've been competing to personify the credentials that I have. So my filing cabinet is full of the number of times that I had managed to introduce myself. So at this point in time, 2026, it's July. Of course, insanity, one way of definition of insanity is doing things over and over, notwithstanding the same result, right? So I am very fortunate that God has blessed the work that I am doing. I want to give a real example that in order to bring these generalizations, these general statements into specific matters of fact that will help for the parties concerned and also for those who are supporting me to find themselves where they want to go from here, whether you guys will continue to support me or you've stopped believing in the cause that I have managed to stand on since many years ago. So yesterday I was at this bank, one of the top 5 banks here in the Philippines. So it should not have been a case wherein my personal presence and call to further get into the system to see which account should be deleted in favor of what account. So my name is Clarissa Talaga Garcia and my family is quite well known here. So needless to say that for each institution that we are part of, like from the moment of birth, the registry of birth, we are connected to each other as being family members. So therefore, whenever my name is typed, naturally depending on the reason, the purpose for ascertaining my identification, what will come out usually would be the name of parents, because it will distinguish who, like if there are so many names, like Clarissa, if there are so many Clarissas in the system, naturally the name of the parents will give the specific identification in order to process something, right? So in this bank, our surname had so many transactions. Like when I was beginning to be a business person, while I was in my teens, yeah, a young mother at 20, and then I was taken under my mother's wings as her apprentice, so I had my own name in the bank. And up to this time, I'm still standing on it, even though it runs contrary to certain identification that it wasn't me. So I don't think that this is the proper channel and venue to get into the whys and wherefores of how it came to be that way. Needless to say, all the prerogatives that I have now, that I have pursued, will be evaluated. And so, to be specific, my brother also has his own name in the BDO, as well as my daughters. They have their own name and accounts in the bank, wherein the information would be the mother's maiden name. That's one of the information that will be asked. It's generally a known fact. It's what would the data privacy, what will be the information that will be covered by data privacy will be the specific information relating to the requested facts. So the name of the parents, for one thing, especially if one is filing for a loan, naturally the name of the parents will be asked, and along with the other information like income, taxpayer accounts. So all these things are in the database. Now that I have been like presenting myself, I can understand now the problematic situation that had put the officers, like the officers of the bank, wherein they would have to speak to me as if I am the real Clarissa Talaga Garcia, because of the presumption of innocence, presumption of regularity, and that I was able to present the accredited government issued IDs. So therefore, it will run contrast to any court orders or anecdotes, or even friendly requests. So therefore, the personality that the bank should stand on will be a matter of public record, and that cannot be ruled out, that how it will end up someday in the, in court, if the legal actions will be considered by any parties down the line, and it will not be, nobody is immune to that. It cannot be avoided how the information in their database can be requested, and how the soundness of the policies, whether it's in line with the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas guidelines. Here it's BSP, Bangko Sentral, and it's in other countries it's the central bank, it's the federal, it's the treasury. So of course all these things will stand not on the amount. Of course, it's like here in the Philippines, the the amount will matter, like um, whether, like for a public official, whether it's going to fall on the qualify as a plunder, which means the amount in question will be 50 million pesos. But if it's below, it's, you know, the malversation. And being in the government service, where the government officers and employees are mandated to submit the SAL and statements of assets and liabilities, they would be beholden to that year after year. And of course, I am getting my facts from what is happening now. And nobody intends to be troubled with law, with a lawsuit, yeah, in a, with, from the get-go. But sometimes carelessness, or sometimes it cannot be helped. So the mixture of government employees under the Civil Service Commission, and then the ordinary person in the private sector would be under the regular application of civil law and penal law, something like that. So now that I am part of the system in person, so the records would have to be revisited and reviewed, because nobody wants to be in the middle of an allegation without the supporting documents to support an innocence, a claim of innocence. And yours truly is now part of that system. For instance, in the private sector, of course, like I would be known to BDO as the cousin of like the security agency. So therefore, whatever my cousin would tell about me, it's something that is substantial, informally speaking, of course. But formally speaking, I could discern the extra carefulness of the bank, like different phone numbers will trigger the security mechanism, and immediately my account will be frozen, something like that, because it had happened so many times in the past. And in the past, my presence could not be recognized as the presence of Clarissa Talaga Garcia for various reasons. Now that those reasons are either subjected to the prescription of the law, or of the cases, like if there is a complaint against this person, usually the prescribed period on what to do about this complaint, like should it be dismissed, should it be forwarded to be heard, to be tried, wherein the recognition of the right of each party would have to be part of the due process. So therefore, from amongst the Clarissa talaga, who amongst the women would have the personal information that will consistently withstand the scrutiny and can consistently be required to you know, to be held as in the system wherein there is a double-edged sword. We cannot say something without the responsibility that somehow if it is less than true and if it's found to be malicious, it can backfire, right? So therefore, government and private institutions here in Lucena City have become very careful and thorough in how the processes are applied to yours truly as Clarissa Talaga Garcia. This is my personal presence while here in our hometown. But the moment that it is elevated to different jurisdictions on account of my marital status, on account of the consequential consequences of milestones or events like with birth certificates, with marriage and death certificates, they are all consequential to the database where each of these changes should reflect on the status of the person. So that's why the different claims, counterclaims, should be able to withstand the different events in a person's life in order to remain true, in order to remain above law, above ground, in order to have, good faith that if there's a mistake, it's not an intentional act, even though it could result in losses and favorable gaining of something to someone, where later on it will be declared as they are parties of interest. I heard this very interesting phrase. I could not, at first, my application for the death benefits of my deceased husband could not be awarded to me because we were requested or required to produce an affidavit from a non-beneficial member of the family. So who are the non-beneficial members of the family? In my book, the moment that I had put any member of the family there, whether it refers to them directly or indirectly, immediately they will become beneficial members of the family. So therefore, that was, it had taken months before it could be resolved, but ultimately it was resolved. So that was how hard it was to process any paper that belongs to yours truly. So at this point in time, if I will request, if I will receive the same set of questions, I would assume that it is part of the pro format. It's expected of them to ask, like, even if a superstar or a known celebrity is in front of them, they are still expected to give out their name. I am not saying that I am of that same level, but since I have started consolidating my name and my credentials, these I have not, I don't know if I had been outraged or I had taken offense whenever I would ask to recite my personal information, but I would regard it as a natural thing to happen, and it really got me into the practice of it. That if I would be asked to narrate the basic information that I have, there is no excuse for me not to be able to do that, since from day one at each and every occasion where my name is needed to be processed in person, I would be asked those those lines of questioning. The difference now is that I will not be. It's going to be a common, to cut short the introduction, which can somehow um, take so much of their time in their busy schedule. I would be also be asking my own line of questioning and requesting subject to their approval. Like, my name is Clarissa Talaga Garcia, and that my request is that in order to verify my like occupation, my the familiarity of my name. It's very important actually in the if there is an allegation of slander or what you call that, slander or defamation. It's also a way to cut to the chase. Like, you cannot expect the barest cause for the incidents. Like, if you are like for a government official is not expected to be thin-skinned, or to take offense in the things that they will be hearing from ordinary people, from the citizenry, right? They are expected to be more enduring, to be more tolerant in taking any criticism, and that it will take a higher degree of defamation, of harsh words, before the court can actually, before the fiscal's office or the prosecutor's office, to elevate it to become a real case, right? So now it would be tricky on my part, because if any case will proceed as it is, down the line, there will be a question of how should my name be regarded as? Should I be a non-entity? Should I be regarded as as an AI, or someone who is not? Anyway, the specifics belong to the lawyers, of course. I'm just saying that for all intents and purposes, in order to cut to the chase, I would be asking for the person that instead of me producing all the received copies of the letters and the notices that I had already sent, can I just ask if they can, if we can both type in my name in the search engine of the internet, so that it will be established, how that regular thing, the regular practice in the modern times can be applied to me, or there's no need, or it is a forbidden course of action at this time that they would eventually have to justify later on. But it will forego the need for me to bring out the voluminous files wherein I had resided, and I had itemized and exhausted all the credentials that I have. So instead of that, the I and nay will be a good indication of where we are at this point in time. Like, if it will be, if the request will be indulged, and that we will find out what the search engine will yield if we type the name that's on my national ID. And the national ID is one identification that had, I believe that it is the most, actually that and the UMID, because one criticism against the national ID is that it doesn't have the signature that is required when comparing the signatures like in bank notes. So the banks will ask for another, not only the banks, but some other institutions, private companies will ask for another ID in support of the national ID where our signatures can be seen to compare. So these things will be part of your truly's credentials from here on. And so this is the actually the final look how the cases will be transmitted outside of the Philippines should there be a need to do so. Like in the immigration office, the moment my name is typed in the immigration database, it will yield the cousins, all cousins, because they are great travelers, the uncles and aunts. And so the way that I will be referenced or introduced by the members of the family would be at par, or it is the, how would I say it? It is the window of the interrelational, the personal relationship that we have. So, since my family, nobody in my family was present as like we determine where the records are, how much taxes should be paid, or where the records had been when I was a writer. So therefore, they are not expected to give any reaction to that. They may have their own personal statements about it, but it's a different thing from what I am pursuing and where I am at this point in time. And all these matters later on in the coming days, as I travel more, as I share time and space with real people, and that the topics of conversations that I will take part eventually will be referenced. It's very interesting when I am actually on my 40th day, something like that, give or take, in my studies in Spanish. I realize how how the Spanish language is so dependent on context and background, that the pronouns and that preposition can be interchangeable, but it will be grammatically correct and the meaning will be definitive if the context, especially with gender, is established. So it will be hard for the Spanish language to accommodate what is happening in the US right now, wherein some prefers the female pronoun and the they and the him, because as it is, a newbie like me is already having this is very challenging for me actually. But for them, if they will have a different, given how the Spanish language is has been established, and changing the context of the preposition, they're going to have a harder time than in the US. That's just me. So the conjugation and the preposition, that's where I'm actually having a hard time. Well, but the thing that I am most, I can say for certain and with confidence, is the comprehension whereby I do not need to heavily or 100% dependent on translation app, because somehow from the get-go I thought, initially I thought, this is a piece of cake. I would just I would just get to know the meaning of like a vocabulary, like for example, if I see a verb or a noun, then I had assumed that this was the translation in English or in Tagalog of that Spanish sentence. And it turned out it was the opposite, and I would be so mistaken in my. So I would go back to how I would do it again, and I was only able to advance in my lesson when I had studied the sentence structure of how the sentence is, the pattern in the Spanish language. Anyway, enough of that. I just want to say that for the rest of July, where I will be in Metro Manila, and I hope to participate, and I hope to be, to have the final credentials from the major institutions, so that my name in the consulate, my name in the immigration, in the different clearances can be consolidated. That took a lot of work, and I am just so glad that I can already see the end, the light at the end of the tunnel, and it's not the train. And yeah, so thank you so much. The significance of what I am saying, how real is the person speaking in this platform, on this platform. What is the relevance of moi? At the risk of being immodest, at the risk of sounding like an what is the term? Think that I am thinking highly of myself, that I am bloating my self-importance, that the only person that I want to speak of, that I want to talk about is moi. That will be answered in the coming days, in the coming weeks. I have my reason, because I have my reason for the decisions that I've made, wherein I know that it wasn't easy to regard a woman who was said to be so ungrateful and so anti-Filipino, that I would refuse to look back on the people who had put me where I am today. And so it's like a never-ending beginning and ending, because it's like, but first of all, who would you be? Can you enlighten us on why would people say that to you when you are a nobody? But who are you? And then the vicious cycle, and the never-ending cycle. It can go on and on if not for the intervention, if not for the truth of if not for the truth that I am standing on at this point in time. And I just pray that it doesn't come at the cost, which is so horrifying. I wouldn't really delve on that. It's just enough to say that my best hope at this point in time is to be given fairness, equality, to have my say so, that I have not been immune, or I have heeded the call for a different course of action, and in that time I had weighed the pros and cons, and that I am just asking for trust and confidence that to give me a chance. I had done so prayerfully, and I have reflected on whether to go on and to continue with this course of action. And it is not meant to hurt, to be disrespectful or to uh, minimize the help that I had been given. It's just there are other considerations that I find to be more pressing. So for now, this is your truly Clarissa Talaga, and I will see you guys when I see you. Hopefully, the first leg will be, in Metro Manila. So bye for now.